Hello, this is Sarah Blessing with a special Project Next episode. Tonight we're breaking down the growing conflict with Iran, what's real, what's political spin, and what it could mean for the world. There's a lot of noise in the news right now about rising tensions in the Middle East and the possibility of a wider war. But what's actually happening and what could it mean for the United States? I'm joined by congressional candidate Kelly Thompson, who's running to represent Indiana, to talk about what's really going on, what responsible leadership should look like right now, and why this matters not just in Washington, but here at home. And if you're watching live, tell us where you're joining from in the comments and share the stream so more people can be a part of this conversation. And stay with us because later in the show, we're going to talk about what this conflict could mean for the U.S. if it escalates and what choices American leaders may face in the weeks ahead. Let's get into it. Kelly, thank you so much for joining me. How are you today, my friend?
Listen, Sarah, I'm as good as can be expected right now, but thank you so much for this really important conversation.
Really you're my favorite person that I want to talk to about when it comes to this national, global war issues. I'm trying to run my own primary right now. Are you in a primary?
I am in a primary, but I have no primary opponent.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
So, I mean, my name will be on the ballot.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I've got two people on the primary. So I'm really focused on like my race, running Project Next, talking to voters. And then this happens and I'm trying to not freak out. And then also I don't have time to completely pay attention. And then people are dying and American soldiers are dying and little girls are getting blown up in schools. And I don't exactly understand what's going on. So I really like it. I just kind of figured I'm not alone. I bet a bunch of us out there don't exactly know what's going on. We don't have time. We're trying to take care of our families, keep food on the table, pay our bills, stay housed. So could you explain it to me? And then hopefully people can watch and catch up and we don't have to use political jargon. We don't have to use spin. We can try to break it down so that regular people like us can understand what is actually happening.
Well, a couple things I want to start with. Number one, let me just ask you, do you trust our government right now? Do you trust them?
Okay.
No. Do you think that we have leaders in place that tell us the truth?
No.
No. Do you feel like we have leaders in place that have our best interest at heart?
No.
No.
And I'm scared.
Yeah. So don't feel bad that you don't know what's going on, because even someone like me that basically is watching multiple news channels and reading multiple news sources every day, almost all day, because that's my job, I still don't really know what's going on because there's so much spin, and we have an administration that has proven they have no problem lying to us. So we have to go with what we know is true right now. What we know is true is that our government, our administration, our executive branch, President Trump and his Department of War and his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and Steve Witkoff, they and others have gotten together and decided that it is in their best interest to bomb another country without congressional approval. So I think we're at 7 or 8 different, if you count Iran twice, we're at 7 countries that have been bombed by this administration without congressional approval. I want to back up for a second to make sure that our listeners and viewers understand that the founding fathers of this country set our government up with checks and balances in place.
Right.
And what that means is we have 3 co-equal branches of government. Co-equal means that none of them are more powerful than the other.
Right.
And those are the executive, which is the presidency. Then you have the judicial, which is the Supreme Court and the court system. And then you have the legislative, which is Congress, both houses together, Senate and the House of Representatives. Okay. The founding fathers set it up that Congress, the House of Representatives, and the Senate have the power of the purse, which means they decide what money comes in. That's our taxes that we pay, and where that money is to go. So we watched in the first 6-8 months of this administration through executive orders and just President Donald Trump's whims, decided to bypass Congress and give money where they wanted to give money and pull money where they wanted to pull it. And Congress did nothing. Because Congress, both houses, House of Representatives and the Senate, are controlled by a Republican majority, they basically just were rubber stamping whatever Donald Trump wanted. So that was hard because we were watching them pull money from Medicaid and pull money from SNAP benefits and just all the things that none of us really wanted. That was hard. But now what we're seeing happen is the other power that Congress has is the power to declare war. And you remember when I was on here last time, we were talking about Venezuela?
Uh-huh.
And we were talking about how on earth is our government, this administration, how do they think that it is legal for them to just start bombing boats from the sky without
Right.
congressional approval, right?
Right.
And I talked with you then about the term narco-terrorism and how our government, the executive branch has the ability that in the event of a terrorist attack, they could bypass Congress in the best interest of the country and do these types of things. So that's why narco-terrorism became a term, right? But now, with each passing day, this administration gets bolder and braver and more reckless.
Yeah, that's what I really feel, the recklessness of this. Yes.
The Constitution, right? So let's look at what this administration has done. They have made it so that it's harder for people to eat. It's harder for people to have roofs over their head. They've made it so that we have the military on the streets of our cities and are trying to arrest, intimidate, beat up, incarcerate, and kill American citizens who are protesting this administration, right?
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Peacefully protesting, which is our right, our American right.
Exactly, which is our American right. So I'm saying all this for a reason, and get back here to Iran, is that this administration, I've never seen an administration, I've been alive for 60 years, that is so boldly hurting the people that they expect to vote for them next time, which is alarming. If you don't care if voters like you or not,
right,
that means you don't really put a whole lot of value in the next time the vote comes around. So now add to that the Epstein files and the fact that we're getting drips and dribbles of unspeakable horrors that have happened at the hands of world leaders. I mean, this isn't just confined to the United States of America. And I think that Iran is a horrifically expensive to the tune of $2 billion a day.
But we can't afford healthcare.
We can't afford healthcare. Exactly,
but we can afford war and messing up the world. And
yep. And he's willing to risk our lives and the lives of people in Iran, in Lebanon, in Iraq, all over the world right now, Israel, regular civilians who are dying and being injured by this war as a distraction technique. So that I think, now I have to just tell you what I think, because we don't know. We're not being told.
We're not being told the truth.
Lied to, right?
Right.
So I think that somebody got in President Trump's ear and said, listen, if you start a war, patriotism will go through the roof. Your approval ratings will skyrocket. And this might be what gets you so that we don't lose the House and the Senate. Because as we know,
we don't know, but I was listening to Pod Save America, and they were saying they think Benjamin Netanyahu from Israel was really playing a hand in convincing Trump to do this war because this benefits him.
Israel.
And yes, it benefits Israel. So I think that's another theory, correct?
It's not just another theory. I think it is another piece to this puzzle.
Another piece,
more than one thing can be happening at one time.
President Trump is how old is he now? Is he 80?
He's pushing up to 80, 79.
I think he's 80 now, or he's 79.
Yeah.
And we've been worried about his health, like, for a while. And the things that he says, he'll say one thing and then immediately say the exact opposite. He's lied so many times. You have no idea if there's a kernel of truth in anything that he says. So he's easy to manipulate. It doesn't take a genius to figure out, if you're a smart bad leader, that you can come into the most powerful country in the world with the most powerful military in the world and convince this person who doesn't seem to be afraid of
Mhm.
going against what the American people want and what
Mhm.
Congress want. He doesn't
Mhm.
seem to be afraid, so bold in this.
Mhm.
It seems we're seeing it's so reckless. It
Yeah. Yeah.
it only makes sense that there's problems there with the person leading this nation.
He is easily played. You just have to pat him on the back and say, "Everybody will
Tell
love
how
you.
great he
You're
is.
so amazing."
If you
Yeah.
do this, everybody's
Yep.
gonna love you.
Exactly. And the world leaders have played him. Putin did it for quite a while, right? I mean, and now, I mean, we have to, as a country, come to terms with the fact that Israel has played a part in our government for a long time. And until we get campaign finance reform and we elect people to positions of power that have not been bought off by Israeli dollars, this country will always bend a knee to Israel, whether it's Benjamin Netanyahu or anybody.
Money is such a huge part of this, and that's the thing that they don't like to say. I
Mhm,
had a Kebe on the show a
mhm,
couple weeks ago. Do you know
mhm.
where she's running for
Yeah,
state
yep,
house?
yep,
I
yep.
love her.
I know
She's
Kumba, we're
amazing.
friends. Yep.
Yeah, Kuma's great. So she was saying she was making the case before this Iran thing happened
Mhm,
that we're spending so many billions of dollars paying
mhm,
for war weapons for
mhm,
Israel. We could be using that money for universal health care. When we're saying we
mhm.
don't have the money for it, we do. We
Yep.
have the money for it. We're just
Mhm,
spending it on war weapons.
mhm.
And so she was making that case. And then here, this is before this happened. Now look where we
Yep.
are today. Money seems to be such a giant part in this. I think most of us realize war is profitable to the people in power, to certain people in power. I think
And to
most
the
people sort of,
corporations who make the weaponry.
yes,
So
yes.
we have to understand that when we say that we gave Israel $18 billion, right? That money probably didn't leave the United States. That money probably went right into the hands of Lockheed Martin and Raytheon, right? They're the ones building the
And
weaponry
so
that
these are war
Israel
weapon
buys.
companies. I've never heard
Right.
of them before.
Yes.
Okay.
These are the companies who build the weaponry. So when you have money in our politics, when you have Citizens United at play, so companies like Raytheon and Lockheed Martin and these type of companies, when they can buy legislators, and what I mean by that is they put money, it's called dark money, right? Or corporate super PAC money. When they dump millions of dollars into somebody's campaign, then they don't have to fundraise. And but that money comes at a cost. If you want to know who your legislators are working for, you need to go on and type in opensecrets.org
That's what I was
and
going to say.
type
Yep.
in your legislator and find out where their money is coming from,
Right.
because that's who they work for.
And
So,
sometimes you have to research what the pack names are because sometimes
yep,
their names sound really friendly and sweet and lovey dovey. And then you look up
always.
what they do and you're like, whoa.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I've used
Exactly.
opensecrets.org and it kept me up at night because I looked at who was giving money to my
Yeah.
opponent at the time, Karen Engelman, who's
Yep.
retiring now. And it was
Yep.
really upsetting. And it was
It is.
upsetting because she was being bought for not very much money
Right.
and she was being bought. Both of
Right.
those things were very
Ah,
upsetting. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. And you're like, really? Really? It's tempting. I mean, I would imagine for somebody who's in it for the wrong reasons, right? It's very tempting because then you can say, well, I can just stay in my position now because I have all the money I need, but
Yeah,
they
I
don't
don't have to get
represent
out and
us
canvas.
anymore.
I don't
Yeah.
get out and try to convince people to vote. I can just use this money to
Mhm,
dump ads and
mhm.
mailers and fake propaganda about how great they're doing. And
Exactly.
also, they get to use tax dollars to
Mhm,
pump out mailers with
mhm.
propaganda. So the people that are
Once
already
they're
in
in.
power, it's so easy for them to stay in power.
You're
Yeah.
exactly right.
Yeah.
So what's interesting about this war right now is that we don't know why we went to war. And the reason we don't know is because we've been told so many different reasons. It's to get rid of their nuclear capability,
That's
which
the only one
supposedly,
I've heard
well, that's one, but we supposedly obliterated their nuclear. Remember, obliterated was the word
that
with
they were
Midnight
gone.
Hammer. We went
Hmm.
over there and we bombed and we blew it up and obliterated their ability to have nuclear weapons, right? But that's what we were told. Now they're going over there for nuclear weapons. Then we were told that we were going over there to, because of the way they were treating their protesters. They were shooting people in the street and they were making it unsafe for people to protest against this. Keep in mind, they had a bad regime in charge. charge, okay?
Right, right.
But don't tell me we're going over there to protect protesters when we're shooting protesters in the street here in the United States of America. So I call BS on that reason. But even so, if it is regime change that they wanted, regime change does not happen with an air fight. The only way you get regime change, if you get regime change, is boots on the ground, which is why you hear people asking all the time, are you going to send in boots on the ground?
And
Then
that's
we
gonna be
go,
like a lot of special forces, a
yes,
lot of troops, a lot of
we're
organizations,
back to Iraq
tons
and
and tons of
Afghanistan.
money,
Right.
and then people, Americans losing their lives.
Mhm. Yep,
Right. So that's the only
exactly.
way to get the regime change that they're
Right.
saying we need to do, and they're making
Yep.
up all these reasons for war.
But the Secretary of State then later in the day gets on and he says the reason we are there is because Israel was going to attack Iran. And if Israel attacked Iran, that was going to make Iran respond by attacking our bases in the area. Okay. And so we had to go in first because Israel was going to go in first. So there's the third reason that we were given for why we were there.
That's right.
Right.
And I have heard that one now that you said it, and I
Mhm,
have heard
mhm.
some MAGA people believing that one.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
which but really when pressed then, right? Because reporters are smart, then they say, "So are you telling us that we are there because Donald Trump couldn't control Benjamin Netanyahu, who has nothing without our weaponry, right? And our assistance?" The reason that Israel didn't do this is because they can't do it on their own. They need us, okay? So really? They were gonna go in without us, and that was going to endanger us? So we don't buy that either. But all of these ideas are floating around, and then when you watch Pete Hegseth, which is our Secretary of Defense,
He likes to be called Secretary of War.
he does, but I refuse to appease the man,
Yeah.
right? But when you see him on TV and saying when somebody asks him, "Is it this, this, and this?" and he comes back with, "Yes," it's now all of that, I guess. And yet then again, none of that. We can't even get this administration to admit that it's a war. I've
Right.
heard the president say it's a war. I've heard him say it's an excursion. I've heard him say that it's an operation. What is it? The reason I think they hesitate to use the word war is because they did not come to Congress and ask for
So
permission to go to
technically
war.
they're not allowed to go to war,
Mhm. But
right? Congress is
now
supposed
they're
to
also
pass.
calling it a war. I mean, it just depends. They don't even have to govern
And they
themselves.
could kind of get away with saying it's a war because the Republicans have the majority in the
Mhm,
House and the Senate,
mhm.
and so far the majority of them are not coming out and speaking against Trump. And we sort of understand why. We've seen it in Indiana. He's such a bully. He seems to go after anybody, any Republican that goes after, that says the truth, that says this isn't right. And so it's like we need a whole bunch of these people that are Republican that have been in power for a while following Trump to come out and say, we are against this, and kind of
But they're
allow the
chicken shit.
bullying, allow that
Sorry.
they might not
Yes.
be elected again. And it's like, I think that we should, yes, they should do that, but I think that's asking a lot of these people.
No, it's not asking a lot of these people. This is the job you signed up for. I'm running for Congress. I am asking the people in Indiana's 3rd district to allow me to be their voice in Washington, D.C. When Congress and those GOP representatives and senators lay down and do not speak for the people, what they are doing is saying, I don't work for the people. I work for the Trump administration. It's
Right.
my job to tell the
That's
people back home what Trump wants me to say, instead of it's my job to go to Washington, D.C. and say what the people are saying and fight for them. And I don't care if he's threatening you with money, if he's threatening your very life. I don't care. This is the job you signed up for.
right.
There are no excuses. None. If you're doing your job as a representative, then the people will reelect you. If you are not, you deserve to lose your job. It's just that simple. So the
I mean,
job is
that's the
to do it.
problem. We've lost, it seems like we've lost for now our democracy in America when our president can go to war without getting approval from Congress.
Mhm.
And it seems like we're not being listened to. And we're so far from the truth. We
Right.
don't know the truth. I don't honestly think Donald Trump knows the truth. I
He only knows what he's being told, and he's
Right.
being told
He's not
whatever
being
he needs to
told
be
the
told
true
so that he'll
things.
do what they want him to do.
Right.
That's
So
it.
So we're all just watching in horror, and then prices are rising everywhere at home. Gas prices are rising. Now, I have a question about gas prices are rising. I
Mhm,
understand we get oil from over there.
mhm,
I get that. But
mhm,
isn't there something to do with is it there's some type of like place where people
mhm.
pass through and
Yes,
bring
so if
oil and
you
other
look at a
things
map
through?
if you look at the map of what we call the Middle East, but really is East Asia and like, Northern Africa there, right? So when you look in that area, um, there is, 20% of the world's oil comes from that area.
Okay.
And it looks like a big bay,
Okay.
okay? And so in order for it to get out of there, it has to come through a tiny area that's only 21 miles wide called the Strait of Hormuz,
Right.
okay? And one whole border of that whole bay is Iran. The other side is mostly Iraq. And then you've got Kuwait and you've got some other things along the edge there. So all of 20% of the world's oil comes from there, and it all has to come in ships through an area that's only about 21 miles wide. So it's like a bottleneck. Okay. And
Yeah.
so what they're doing right now is they've shut that down.
Iran shut it down because we're
Iran has
bombing
shut it
them.
down, right? And they're saying, fine, you're going to do this to us. You get no oil. Now, this is important, Sarah. Here's what's happening right now. The United States had sanctions on Russia so that people couldn't buy Russian oil.
Right.
Because of this bottleneck in the Strait of Hormuz, we're not getting that 20% of oil. So it's causing gas prices, right?
Right.
Go up, and not just oil, but natural gas, all kinds of fuel, energy is bottled up there. And so because that can't get out, it's causing prices to go up globally. This
Okay.
is a really
So it's
scary
not just
thing.
hitting
It's
Americans'
not just
gas
hitting the United
prices,
States of America.
everywhere.
Exactly right. It's going
Okay.
up globally. So, what the president decided to do in order to try to ease some of this economic pressure is to remove the sanctions from Russia. So, Russia can now sell their oil. Now, let me tell you something. Are we friends with Russia?
We're not supposed to be.
We are not supposed to be friends with Russia. We had sanctions in place for a reason. And so now, in order for Donald Trump to look better, he has said it's okay if our enemy makes a bunch of money right now. Who's Russia at war with right now?
Ukraine.
Ukraine. So as Russia's resources get depleted, it gives Ukraine hope. What have we just done to
We
Ukraine?
just gave Russia
Right,
a whole bunch of more power
exactly.
and yeah,
Right.
so
Does
that's
that make the
really
world
hurting
safer
Ukraine.
for democracy?
No.
No. So
So I
this
didn't
is what
realize
we
this.
have to think about is globally what's happening. Not only are we making it less safe for democracy, we are making democracy look bad. We were the beacon. We were the ones that the world was supposed to look at and
Yeah.
say, we want to be like the United States of America. But right now, you want to know who looks safe? China looks safe. They look stable. Communism looks stable.
Yeah.
It looks safe.
And China over the last few years have done a really good job of getting energy in their own country.
They're
They're making
patient
more of the
and
country, and they're
strategic.
also being more like environmentally safe. Like it looks like
Yeah.
they're doing better things. They're doing a lot of solar, a lot of electric type
Because it's
things.
wise.
That's what we should have been doing. We
Right?
should
But
have been
no, we
making more
are bought
infrastructure
by
in
big
America.
oil.
So yes, so big,
Our
so we didn't have to
legislators
rely
are
on oil
owned.
from other countries, and we didn't do that.
Again, it goes back to money in our politics. It
Yeah.
always goes back to money because there is no pure governance
Right.
when legislators have been bought or bribed.
Right.
And that is what this is. If we don't elect grassroots politicians who are in this for the right reason, if we don't get behind them and support them with our dollars and support them with our volunteers and support them by telling people about them, we're going to lose this thing. We are going to lose this thing, but we have to do the work. We have to be brave right now.
Like I have a lot of hope. I have a lot of faith in these next elections in November.
Mhm.
I just am really horrified by what has happened in this first year and a few months of the Trump administration. I remember the first Trump administration. It wasn't great. It was absolutely nothing like it is in this second one.
Exactly. You want to
Nothing.
know
He
why?
didn't do any of these
No,
things.
because he didn't anticipate in his first administration that he would have career military people, career justice people in place to say no to him.
Right. That's true.
To
I do
tell
remember
him,
checks and
yes,
balances working a lot better
exactly.
in the
Then,
first Trump administration.
yes, and now he went in and cleaned house. I mean, also, are you aware of the fact that we have stripped hundreds of career counterintelligence professionals from our FBI and all of the places that keep us safe? So now back up with me for a second. Remember, I asked you, do you feel like this is making you safer or not? I've got more great news. Okay. We know that we have sleeper cells in the United States of America of people who don't like us, okay, that are just waiting to be told when and where to attack. So we have, like, we had a very special unit called CI-12, and they were focused on Iranian sleeper cells and watching and figuring out. We fired hundreds of them before this happened, and I'm talking weeks. Like, Kash Patel went in, cleaned house, and now we're faced with this threat in our country without the people that we need to keep us safe in place. So not only have we made the world less safe, we have made this country less safe.
Yeah.
And let me give you another little bit of great news. When we say less safe, like especially in this country and all around the world, we're talking about terrorism, right? I have said for over a decade, what if instead of blowing up other parts of the world, we took the money that we would spend and instead built hospitals and schools and fed people and brought in medical care? We want to call the people around the world who are screaming death to America terrorists. But can we understand after we bomb a school full of little girls why they don't like us?
This is the part that really gets to me is we're not thinking about humanity.
No.
We're like Tim Peck was on, I did a show with him yesterday morning, and
Mhm,
his dad Al Peck is a Vietnam War veteran,
mhm.
and he thankfully survived, but he also got Agent Orange dumped on him and has had tremendous health issues ever since, and he's been in pain ever since this happened to him.
Oh,
And
no.
he's a wonderful human. I love him so much. And Al was telling Tim, war just means death.
Mhm,
War just means killing people. It's
mhm,
killing people. And
mhm.
we need to focus on the truth. Can
Yep.
we imagine if some country bombed our school, our
Mhm,
neighborhood school?
mhm.
Are we going to be wanting to cater to them? Oh,
Right.
we better bow down to this country's needs and give them what they want.
We would
No,
them.
we're traumatized and then we're dealing with the deaths and the mess in your community. Can we
Mhm.
just imagine that? We
Yep.
think we're so big bag and tough. Do we not remember 9/11?
Right.
You know,
Right.
when we go and mess with other countries instead of, like you said, giving hospitals and schools and support and doctors and technology and medicine, instead of helping, when we go and
Exactly.
do damage and kill them and
Yes.
destroy their
Yes.
culture, we're just continuing war and terrorism and the opposite of being safe here. So
Exactly. We're creating terrorists.
we're creating terrorists right now.
We are. We're
Yeah.
we are doing the recruiting for them
Yeah.
when we do this, and it makes no one safer. No one. Listen,
It,
all war is a failure.
yeah.
All war is a failure. We know that we were negotiating with Iran before, and in fact, during when we decided to go over there and bomb them this time. I just listened to our president on TV today. I don't know if it was yesterday or not, but I heard it today where he said, yeah, we were negotiating, but you know what? I didn't really want to make a deal. It was going to have to be an awful good. He was not even negotiating in good faith, he admitted. He always wanted to go to war. But here's what we know, Sarah. We don't matter to him.
No.
We don't matter to anybody in this administration. This has nothing to do with Republican or Democrat.
And the Epstein files show that too, because look
So
at the
does,
horrors of these young women and what they face by all these powerful people. They
yep.
don't care about us. It's really important that we learn that. I think we're so naive because in our communities most of the people are loving and sweet and give a crap about
Mhm.
us.
Yeah.
But these
Yeah.
people that care about mass wealth and not humanity are
Right.
different types of people
Yeah.
than our neighbors.
They don't play by the same rules. They
No.
don't see us. Listen, we're saying it's inhumane, right? This is
Right.
we've
This,
lost
yes.
humanity. They've never
Yes.
seen us. I don't
Right.
know if you've done any sort of deep dive into the Epstein files, but horrific atrocities occurred. Not to be triggering, but things that we would see in horror movies occurred
Yeah.
by
I
these
can't even,
individuals.
I don't even want to think about some of the stuff I've heard about.
Right. Exactly.
It's so awful.
It's too disturbing, and that's not even an adequate
And
it's
and we
horrifying.
can't get all the truth out because it's powerful people doing it, and powerful people are running the show right now.
Right.
Powerful
But
money, these bad people, not, and it's so, it's infuriating, but also it shows us these
mhm,
people don't care about our lives.
they
Look,
don't.
they're getting in this in a war. They can't even tell us why we're getting in this war. They don't even have permission and they don't care.
Listen, the reason that we are at war right now is because somebody told Donald Trump this was good for him.
Yeah.
In a nutshell, if he only does what he thinks benefits himself. So if we want to boil it all down to its simplest terms, is somebody convinced Donald Trump that this war would be good for him? So the cost does not matter to him
No,
at
he
all.
doesn't care how much money it costs us. He doesn't care that our tax dollars are raising. He doesn't care that American soldiers are dying and will continue to. He
Yep.
does not care about us. And those of you that are watching that have friends that still support Trump,
Mhm,
if you can lovingly and compassionately talk to them about this. Tim Peck, he
mhm,
was door knocking 2 nights ago
mhm,
in rural Washington County or Clark County.
mhm.
100 people he saw, only 2 of them supported the war,
Yep,
and we're talking about a majority of
yep,
Republicans here.
yep.
So it's really important to realize that most people are against this war. Don't really pay attention to what you see online, because that's a few people that
Mhm.
magnify.
Yeah. I was, on my Facebook last night, and I saw a local person here that I know who is a Republican. He posted and just said, "Hey, without arguing and, I'm not looking for a fight here. Just can you just tell me if you're for or against this war and why?"
Right.
And then he put the last line was, "Please, no foul language." And so I was reading through the comments last night, and, there were probably over 100 comments. I saw 2 that said they were for it. And a lot of them were saying things like, "Really? You're worried about language? That's what bothers you about everything that's going on? That was your caveat was please don't use bad language when we're bombing little kids all around the world. This is your problem." So I woke up this morning to go back and check it, and he took it down. I was phone banking 2 nights ago and talking to people on the phone. They're scared, nobody's for it. Nobody wants their sons and daughters to go to war
I
in a
feel
war that you not only can't tell us why we're there, you have no exit strategy. The only path he has right now is keep going forward. But
yeah.
this shouldn't surprise us.
And
This
they
is an
don't ever admit
administration.
wrong. They don't ever
No.
say they messed up. They don't
Nope.
even say whoops. They don't ever say we need to correct some things. They just keep pushing forward like they're perfect and they're doing a great job. And so that's when the lies really pile up, because if you can't like self-correct, we're
Right.
human. We all make mistakes. We don't know the
Sure.
future. We don't know
Exactly.
everything.
Right.
We all make when you can't ever admit a mistake and you just keep going, you keep going. The point we're at now, where our government, our national government, can't say anything truthful, and the reporters ask a question and they just belittle the reporters.
Yell at him.
It's scary. It's
Mhm.
scary to everyone watching. So I am reassured to see that Republicans don't want this war too. That we don't want our young, sons and daughters going off to war. We don't
Yep.
even understand why they're in this war. I feel
Yep.
so bad for the people that have already died, that's in their families.
Me
Yeah.
too.
I
Me too.
I cannot believe our reality.
Yeah.
I really am struggling. Like every
Listen.
day is a little bit of a mental health thing, and I'm like, well, why am I struggling mentally? Probably, probably what's happening in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, we like, here if we just back up for a second over the
Sure.
last year, this administration has proven they don't care if children are hungry.
Nope.
They
They
don't
stopped
care if
SNAP.
they
They
can
didn't
go
give a
right? They
flying
don't
crap to stop the food programs
nope,
that kids needed to
yep.
keep their bellies full.
They
Yep.
don't care if people can attend a doctor if they're sick. They do
Nope.
not care,
Nope.
right? They don't care to protect you when you're peacefully protesting.
Right.
They don't care that 70% of the people that ICE has pulled off the street have no criminal offense at all, let alone a violent crime. They don't care that they're housing them in inhumane conditions with no medical care. Nobody's being prosecuted when those same individuals end up dead inside of those detention facilities. Nobody gets prosecuted when American citizens are killed by our own government on the streets. They don't care, right? They don't care if they send us to war and we die. They don't care. They do not care about us. I was just at dinner tonight before I came here with my husband, and two different couples came up to me, both of them Republicans, and said to me, one of them came up and said, how's the campaign going? And I said, going great. And they said, who are you running against again? And I said, I'm running against Marlon Stutzman. And he went, oh my God, I'm so glad. He said, I've never written to politicians before, but I have been writing to Jim Banks and Marlon Stutzman this year because I'm so mad. They don't care that farmers are killing themselves and going bankrupt right now. They do not care.
Right.
They don't care. We are
It's,
simply on a chessboard.
we're just little pawns. I was going to say,
That's
we're
it.
just little pawns in their game of power and control and money.
Yep.
And they think we're so stupid too. They think they
Mhm.
can manipulate us so easily.
Mhm.
And like, clearly we're organizing. Me and you are
Mhm.
having this conversation right now. You
Mhm.
have a lot of followers. You're doing a
Mhm.
really good job in your
Mhm.
campaign
Mhm.
because of their
Yeah.
terribleness. I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, it's causing us to
Yes.
do everything we can to rise up and stop it. So I do have hope
Yes.
because there are so many great people stepping up and doing their part. But
And not only great people. I just shared
right,
a video of Nick Fuentes this week. I never thought
yes,
I would share a video of Nick
yes.
Fuentes,
So this
right?
is a really right-wing guy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, a
Yes,
podcaster with huge following, and he
right,
came out and he went down the list of all the ways the Trump administration had broken promises and betrayed them. And
right.
he said, "This is it." He said, "In 2026, I am not voting." Then he said, "In 2028, if Vance or Rubio is on the ticket, I'm voting Democrat." This was Nick Fuentes, and I went ahead and shared it because number one, he said his actual quote was, "I am off the Trump train." So he gave permission for
This is a
all of his
very
followers
powerful,
to
right,
get off the Trump train,
right.
told him, "You don't even have to vote in 2026," right? Because listen, some people won't come vote for me, but
But
if they
just don't
just
go vote
don't
for the person supporting
just
Trump.
don't vote for this. I couldn't. And I think that anybody with any decency right now knows that this is not an administration that has the American people's best interest at heart. And here's what has
Yeah.
to happen. We have to take back the House and the Senate. If we take back the House and the Senate, we can, if we're organized and if we are a cohesive unit, we can impeach this entire administration. Start
That's what somebody in the
over.
comments was saying.
Yep.
If we can get enough better people elected, and even just like get a better Republican, if your areas do the primary and get a better Republican in there,
Just get anybody that cares.
anybody, Democrat, Republican, independent, that's saying we have to stop this administration now.
Mhm.
I think that that is a really good idea. Um, I just
Hmm.
cannot believe the difference between the first Trump administration and the second. And I am fearful of how bad it's going to get. I kept saying it's going to get worse before it gets better. I didn't know it was going to get this bad.
No,
And I
we knew
didn't see the like
26 was
the
gonna be
ICE stuff
hard.
happening like
Didn't
it
see it.
did. Didn't see it coming. I mean, I knew
Listen,
that they were riling up their base and acting like all these people are so scary and they need to get rid of them, but I didn't know they were going to spend so much money and get all these people in ICE and Border Patrol. I did
you
not know that was going to
know
happen.
that the ICE's budget right now is more than the United States Marine Corps. Okay, and they want
But
more
the
money.
people aren't trained. They don't act like
No,
police
they used to
officers.
need, they said before they needed a year's worth of training, and now they get 47 days. And somebody asked them, why 47? And they said, well, Donald Trump's the 47th president. This is the high level brain work we got going on right now in this country. And I want to talk about something here because I think it's important for everybody to understand. We all know that as I'm getting ready to fly to DC on Monday, that the TSA workers are now working without pay, right?
They are right now?
Yeah, they are working without pay right now
Why? I didn't know that.
because there's this bill, funding bill that's set to be voted on, or it's been trying to be passed right now. And in this funding bill, the Democrats are saying no more money for ICE and no money for the Border Patrol. And so it's holding up this whole funding bill. So the
Oh,
Democrats came back and they said, I tell you what, we'll approve everything except ICE and Border Patrol so that everybody's still getting a paycheck, because all they're asking for is an increase for ICE and the Border Patrol. Okay. And so that's what the Republicans are asking for. And so, but the Democrats are saying, not without oversight. We're not giving any more money to these institutions that nobody has control over right now, that are killing American citizens, and they don't have enough training. And so the Democrats said, okay, I tell you what, we'll go ahead and fund a TSA. We'll go ahead and fund the Coast Guard and these things that are not getting their money right now. And the Republicans said no. But if you go to Jim Banks's page, he's going to tell you that it is the Democrats holding up the paychecks for TSA and for the Coast Guard, et cetera. And that is not the case. We are
no.
being lied to at every turn.
That's another part that's really affecting my mental health, the amount of lies. And I think it's led the average American person to just be very confused and
Mhm.
to not trust any
Right.
politician or any elected
Exactly.
official or anybody, any
Yep.
candidate. And that's
Yep.
not really the answer either, but they don't necessarily have the brain power, the mental capability, the time and energy that is needed to invest to find out, well, who is the person I can trust?
So can I
So,
take just a minute to explain to your listeners and viewers who I am
yes,
and why they
please,
can
Kelly,
trust
because you
me?
are so
Yes.
amazing.
So
Yes.
I am a small business owner and a nonprofit founder. And I started the nonprofit in response to a teenage suicide epidemic we were having. And that grew into a coffee house just for them, and then a counseling center and a summer school program. And I was trying to help our local families. And they very generously were vulnerable with me and were sharing with me the struggles that they had. I took them to our legislators and they didn't care.
Yeah.
I'm a mother of 6 and I am a grandmother of 13. I have 9 granddaughters that I would really like to be sure they can vote when they grow up. The reason that I am running, my family is black, white, brown, gay, straight, trans, union workers, business owners, musicians, poets. I've got a daughter who's a single mama of a daughter. I've got a mother with stage 4 breast cancer. I have a
Oh,
sister who passed away from addiction issues. I have felt it all. I've had my home in foreclosure. I've had a vehicle repossessed. I know the struggles. I've lived them. I'm watching them in the lives of my own family. And I am just sick and tired of this country not working for the people who are working for this country. I will not be bought. I will not bow down. I will not be afraid, because I have to look my grandbabies in the eye and tell them Mimi's doing the best she can. She's fighting for you. We have to elect people to power who have felt our pain, who get it, who understand how hard. I listened to a Republican lawmaker in Ohio say, the problem is that poor people, they just don't know how money works. They just don't know how money works. He goes, I was talking to a woman the other day. She's always been on food assistance. And so she said, I don't know how money works at the grocery store, he says. That is bull crap.
no.
Okay. I know what it's like to live a life where no matter what your check is at the end of the week, it's never enough.
Right.
That when you tell people budget better,
Ugh,
you are clueless about the fact that to be able to budget is a luxury.
right.
That means you have enough or more than enough.
Right.
But the
They're just trying to
reality
stay
is,
housed.
right, we've got people who are looking at their bills going rent, utilities, food, and then car insurance, health insurance, doctor's bills. I'll
They're
tell
having
you
to pick
something.
which one to pay. Which one can they
Every
pay?
time rent and electricity is going to come before car insurance. But what happens if you drive and you don't have car insurance? You're going to lose your license. If you lose your license, you're going to lose your job. If you're driving without it, you might go to jail. You're going to lose your job and you're going to lose the income.
It is
We've
so expensive to be
We've
poor. It is
criminalized
so
poverty
expensive.
is what we've
Right.
done. We're
Right.
blaming the poor people for being poor, and I'm tired of that.
Right.
That has to stop, but it will not stop when we elect people to power who've never even opened a fridge and made their own sandwich.
Right. Right. I was watching a really interesting thing or reading something about the difference between Costco and Sam's.
Mm,
The Costco
yep.
CEO doesn't make near as much money, but still is very wealthy. but puts a lot of the money into the workers. And so
Yep.
the workers have really good benefits, and most
Yep.
of them are full time with like
Yep.
insurance and everything, and they can afford their life and they like their job. So they're actually really wonderful workers to work
Sure.
to be with. Whereas
Yes.
in Sam's, they don't pay them as much, and it's mostly part-time workers, and they're always quitting because they're not getting paid very well, so they have to spend a lot of money on training, and they're always retraining people. And to show those two models, both of those models are making money, both
Hmm.
of those models are sustainable, so that shows we should do more like Costco. We
Hmm.
should do more like
Absolutely.
that, where we treat people better and we pay
Yep.
them better, and it works. What
Hmm.
we've been lied to for so many years, people that are Trumpers, that are MAGA, have been lied to in thinking that there's no way we can buy groceries at an affordable price if we're paying the worker their fair share. And that is just a downright lie.
It
It's just a
is.
lie.
You're 100% right. It's not about that. It's just greed. It's insane and what I would consider sociopathic greed. And it is allowed to continue because our legislators are paid off. Quite honestly, that's what we're looking at.
And also, they're
Wall.
just not brave. They have no idea how to stand up for what's right. A
Hmm.
lot of people aren't brave. And
Hmm.
and it doesn't mean that they're bad people necessarily, but
But
they
you
shouldn't
don't
be in
belong
that
in
job.
government.
You shouldn't
No.
be in you shouldn't be a congressperson, you shouldn't be in the Senate if
Mm-mm.
you are not a brave person. But that's not how the world works. We're not picking the best people.
Yep.
And also, we need to pick regular people that struggle like you. You're a
Yeah.
very, very smart person
Hmm.
who's not a billionaire, you
No.
know? So it's hard to get you in because you don't come in with all this influence and money and power. So we, the people, have got to do the work to get you
Yep.
elected. And I
We
think we
believe the
can.
lie. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. We believe the lie that the people that we elect should be rich and therefore successful.
Right.
But no, it's a government of the people, by the people, for the people. I'm a people. I'm
Mm-hmm.
a people. I get
Yep.
it. I
Yep.
understand life and how hard it is. And I'm
Yep.
ready to fight for the normal person in this country.
You're not trying to fight for your own life. You're trying to fight for your family and all the other people in your community. And that is what I am doing too. I
Yes.
don't care how much money I have. We're doing okay. I'm
Mm-hmm.
okay. I
Right.
care about my community that's suffering.
Right.
I live in a rural area and
Yep.
they are suffering.
Yep.
And a lot of them probably don't even know what's going on in Iran because they're too busy trying to stay housed and feed their family and work multiple jobs, and their life is stressful. And
Mhm.
so that's when I get frustrated. It's like, well, we need these people to vote for us, but it's hard to ask them to because they're struggling so hard. And guess what? Gas has gone up. Guess what?
Yep.
Food has gone up again. Guess what? Fertilizer is hard to get because of this war. I was talking to a farmer this week.
Yep.
That's going to go up.
Yep.
So that's going to make food prices go up. And
As
then
yep.
we never know what's going to happen. What in the world's going to happen tomorrow, Kelly? Do you know? Because I don't
We
know.
don't
I
know.
have no clue.
We
Wh-
have to hope that everybody who survives until we take back the House and Senate, and until even in Indiana, we get people like you elected to office. And let me just tell you why it's so important that you're running, because you're running for the House, right?
Yep.
In the state House. We talked about the fact that we have too much money in our politics, and just that's because of Citizens United, which was a
Yep.
Supreme Court
Which
decision
we
that
have got
allowed
to
Republic
overturn. We have
we
to get
have to
enough people
overturn.
in there to
But
overturn it. Yeah.
here's the thing, that's going to be slower than if we elect people like you to the state house,
Yep.
because every state decides what powers corporations have or
Yep.
do not have in their state. You can control in Indiana whether or not corporations have the ability to contribute to campaigns, even if it's just in like kind exchange or whatever. You get to decide that. That might be able to happen. That's what other states are doing right now. And that might have to happen, much like marriage equality started by states allowing marriage equality, and then
Right.
finally the Supreme Court catches up, right?
Right. Right.
That same with like
You're
equal rights
so right.
amendment, right?
We states are going to have to pull the weight until national can get it together.
Yep,
And that is the glory of the United States
yep,
of America. That is the
yep.
glory of it. But in Indiana, we have the same problem that national has. We've lost to corporate interest. We've lost to MAGA people. We've lost to everybody's just blindly doing what they told. And then they're
Hmm.
sending mailers acting like they're doing good things for
Hmm.
us. I mean,
Hmm.
it's wild when I look at the Indiana Republican social media. They just look like they're just doing so much to help us.
I know.
And I'm like, They don't tell you. They don't tell you one single bad thing they did. They just and it's like, don't you notice your life is worse? And I guess they don't realize why their life is harder. It's like, no, it's a lot Indiana laws.
Listen, since Donald Trump took office, since he took office, we have flipped 28 seats in the country from red to blue in red districts or battleground districts. The Republicans have flipped zero.
Wow.
Zero in that amount of time. And the reason is because the lies were upper level. They could lie about Russia. They could lie about China. They could lie about even South America. But when you start lying to the American people and telling them that they have more money than they've ever had, that the job market is better than it's ever been, that you have food prices are coming down, gas prices are coming down, and you start, we love the farmers. When you start lying to the American people about their actual lives, all of a sudden they're like, that's not true. That is not true. I opened my wallet. I don't have more money than I had before. We're in the construction business. My husband and I were just at dinner and we're like, okay, we got to button things up here because the phone's not ringing like it's usually ringing. It's not. We're looking at spring, but people are like, you know what? We're going to wait.
Well, because they're so uncertain about how much everything's going to cost.
There's chaos everywhere. Everywhere. Everybody's thinking, let me hold on to what I got because the price of milk might be $10.
And then that's going to put us in a recession because when we don't buy things, that hurts us. So
I just saw,
but I get why we're not buying things.
25% going into recession. They're thinking right now that the odds are going up and up and up. And now we're talking global recession. We're not even just talking about the United States of America. We've made the whole world less safe. Not only that, Sarah, on top of everything else, we are pissing off our allies.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're mad at us. They are not sharing intelligence with us anymore.
We talked about this with Venezuela, and now it's so much worse.
So much worse. We are now finding out, I'm getting messages from people around the world saying, our government's telling us not to go to the United States of America. They're telling us it's not safe.
No, it makes sense.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
There are medical students from around the world that their government is telling them don't go to medical school in the United States because what you're going to learn there isn't true because of RFK Jr., right? Because of the fact that they're lying about vaccines and lying about medical procedures. Yeah, everything's spinning out of control at once.
Yeah, and there's, like you said, it's caught up to them. The lies have caught up to most people. You can't say gas prices are fine, and then you go to the gas pump and you see the actual price, and you're like, wait a minute. There's only so many times you can be faced with a blatant lie before you're like, hold up. Even though they're really busy, even though they're struggling, they're seeing everything costs more. So,
and now they're afraid their sons and daughter are going to go to another war in the Middle East.
This is what pisses me off the most about war. The people that decide to go to war should be at the forefront of the war fighting. They should have to fight. And it should be their children that have to fight, not our children.
Remember this now. Congress is supposed to have the power to declare war. Congress is supposed to be made up of the representatives of the people. If I were in Congress right now and I was weighing whether or not to go to war, remember, I have 6 kids. My kids are not protected like Donald Trump's kids are protected, right? So when our government is working, when the people there are brave, honest, have integrity, obey the Constitution, then we have the right people in power who will weigh the risk. And this is why, even if I had no kids, I have to come back and answer to the constituents of my district if I declare war. I have to be there. I have to understand that if someone in my district dies, that's on me. But we have people in power who feel no responsibility to make sure that we're fed, housed, have medical care, have an education, have childcare. They don't give a damn. They do not care.
They're so far removed from us. They don't come and visit us. They don't come to our neighborhoods. They don't come and do town halls and meet the people. They're not door knocking and calling people like we are. So they're so far removed that it's like they don't see it or feel it or give a crap.
They don't want to.
They don't want to.
But then you should not be representing anybody. That's the thing. We've lost that word, representative. I am supposed to represent the people of my district. We don't have that right now. It is a total betrayal in Marlon Stutzman. He won't show up anywhere. He won't meet the people, but I don't blame him. He's scared to death, and he should be.
I get it. I get it. They're scared because we're so angry. So they
And we
get,
are
I get why
angry
they
for
don't.
good cause.
We're angry for good reason. Yeah, yeah. Erin Houchin, our congressperson down here who Tim Peck is running against, she won't come. She will only come to a fundraiser for her or a big, safe Republican event. She's not coming to like where the regular people are. And they were sending out text messages acting like she was going to come to events, but then people would go to them and it was just like a team of like young people being paid to do it. And they're just like, yeah, did you have any issues? We'll write them down, and then she'll never read them, And so then they changed the text. Yeah. Yeah, we have got to get back. But she smiles so nicely in Congress when like someone with disabilities comes in a wheelchair, she'll be, oh, and she'll smile like she cares about them. And it's like, but you're actively voting to hurt them.
And you cut Medicaid.
It's really upsetting. The smiling at them and acting like she cares about them really gets to me. Because I'm like, if you care about them, vote like it.
You would legislate appropriately. We can tell actions speak louder than words. That's the truth of it. It's so cliche, but it's the truth. Look at where they're getting their money and what they're doing for us. Then you'll know whether we should keep them in office or not. Congress was designed, House of Representatives, 2-year terms. And same for you, right? In the State House, you're going to have a 2-year term.
Yep.
And that is by design on purpose, because our job is so important.
To listen to the people.
Yes. That the people get the chance every 2 years to fire us.
Yeah.
That is their right.
And the Senate is supposed to be a little bit different. They're not supposed to have to listen as much.
There's
they have longer terms. It's 4 years for state Senate and 6 years for national.
Exactly.
But right now, none of them are listening.
Nobody's listening.
At least the majority's not.
Certainly not the Republicans.
And
certainly not the Republicans.
We had more people standing up against the Trump administration the first time.
I think everybody was shocked. I mean, there was a degree of disbelief even in the Republicans, right? And they weren't as afraid of him as they are right now. He is blatantly.
It was really scary when he came to power and all the really rich, wealthy, business people were given tons of money for his inauguration and were showing up in like the front row. That was really scary time, but it did predict what's happening now.
Yeah.
It did help show it.
We know who he's working for.
Right. Oh, man. Kelly, I'm going to have you on again. Whoever knows, I didn't predict we'd be talking about war with Iran this time when we talked about Venezuela. And I didn't predict we'd be talking about Venezuela last time. But I do want to have you on again when there's more national conflict that I don't fully understand and you can explain it to us. What's your website? How can people support you?
My website is kellythompsonforcongress.com. You can find me on TikTok at Kelly for Indiana. You can find me on Facebook at Kelly Thompson for Congress. You can Google me. I've written some
I think if you just put Kelly Thompson in, you're so big now that you pop up everywhere. You're on fire on social media, and people that watch this episode should understand why. You are so amazing. I am incredibly thankful you are running. I get why you're running, because I'm running for my family and for my community, and I want to live in Indiana. I want to stay here. I love this state. I love my neighbors. And if we don't step up and fix it, we're going to need to move. And I don't want to move. I want to stay here.
And there's an awful lot of people who can't move.
Right.
Somebody has to fight for them. Listen, we have to understand you and I live in some element of privilege just by being born white and just by being able to sit in a house that I'm warm. I have food in my refrigerator.
Same. We're so lucky.
Right. And I'm healthy.
Right.
To whom much is given, much is required. Right. And so, and I don't have much. It's not like I have thousands of dollars in my bank account right now. I'm just saying that I have now the time, I have the ability, and I will not let somebody step on us without trying.
Yeah, we have to try. If you're just now getting involved in politics, if you're just now being like, I think I got to care about our democracy because we might lose it.
Yes.
Welcome to the party. Welcome to the resistance. There are many of us. A lot of us are Republicans now. I just keep meeting more Republicans that are joining us. You used to be a Republican.
I was a Republican.
I was a Republican during 9/11. Yeah.
So was I.
Come on over, join us, find what is your passion. How can you help? Can you
Yeah.
join Mad Voters? Can you help Hoosier Action? Can you join Kelly Thompson's team and be a volunteer? You want to be a volunteer for me? What do you want to do? Pick what you want to do and put your effort into it. It will help your mental health. If I
It
wasn't
will.
running and if I wasn't doing Project Next, I think my mental health would be really struggling because I do know what's going on and you do
Right.
too,
And
right?
here's the thing. I go to there's 13 counties in my district, right? And every county has a Democratic Party and they meet once a month. And every county that I go to has Republicans there now
Yeah,
because
we're
their
seeing that
party
too.
has left them. They
Yes,
don't want any part of this. And they'll say to me, I'm not a Democrat, but I want to help this. I
yes,
want to. And the reason when I was a Republican, it was because I was told you can't do the socially just thing and the fiscally responsible thing. That's a lie.
that's a lie.
Doing the right thing is the fiscally responsible thing to do. So
Yep.
once you understand that, you're like, oh, the Democrats are fighting for childcare, healthcare, education. Those are not red or blue things.
But the Democrats could do a better job of reaching across the aisle and pulling the Republicans in with them. Just like what we're having happen right now, where Republicans are coming to Democrat meetings, we
Right.
should be doing that with our elected officials. We should try. Even if these Republicans supported Trump this whole time, we
Mm-hmm.
should try. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? They're going to stay for Trump. If there's a 1% chance that you could pull some of them over to our side and they stop voting to support him, it's
Yep.
worth the effort. So I get frustrated when I see our elected officials just badmouth them constantly. I'm like, take them to dinner and
Mm-hmm.
talk to them and get the truth in their brain because they're so full of fake propaganda. They don't know the truth. Get them out. It's like, it's the same thing on how you get people out of a cult. It's
Yeah.
the same type of thing. You
Yep.
can't yell at them and
Nope.
shame them. You
Nope.
got to put in the work. So I get a little bit pissed off at our elected
Mm-hmm.
officials that are just being like, I don't know what to do, and they're freaking Congress people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
If
you're
you're if
exactly right.
you're a Democrat congressperson right now, you should be working your butt off getting this Republican over and this Republican over. And I'm a little frustrated with them because look how bad things are right now.
Yeah,
You know?
that you're right. You're right. But and I think that it's important to understand that communication is a precursor for collaboration and you have to learn how to talk to people without inflaming defenses, right? so
Yes.
so find a common ground somewhere
Do you care
with
about your
people,
children? Do you
right?
want them to have a safe country in a couple years?
Do
Then
you
find some
think
common
that food is important?
ground.
And
Would you
remind
like to
them,
have food? Would you
do
like to
you
drive your
yes.
car?
Yes. Honestly, if these people who voted to cut SNAP, if they had to actually go up and physically take an apple from a hungry child, they wouldn't do it. They couldn't do it. But in this, what do they call it? The DC bubble or whatever it is, somehow they're more impressed and more focused on not making mad their counterparts. But now you see like Massey and Rokana that are coming together. There are people who are finally
Yes, we
saying
need more
this
of
isn't
that.
okay. Yes,
And
and
that's
we
good.
need to do
Look,
that.
look, Marjorie Taylor Greene has joined the resistance,
Nancy
Kelly.
Mace has come out against some stuff.
So
Exactly.
we
So,
need to do more of that, more uniting,
yeah,
because
and yep,
it's hurting all of us
yeah.
in the whole
Er,
world. It's not just all of us in the country. We're really hurting the whole world.
Listen, the reason we're in the state we are in right now is because the people that we've been talking about that have lost their humanity, that are in this for greed and self enrichment, they have been allowed to do that because they have taught me to fight you and you to fight me.
Right.
Because as long as we're fighting each other, we're not fighting them. And they know that. They know the power of the people is greater than the people in power. And so when we come together, we win because we are too loud to be ignored. So we have to stop fighting. We
Yeah.
have to create places of welcome,
And
saying,
that's
I
what
know
all of
he
us
lied
can
to me
do.
too.
I'm not a
Exactly.
congressperson. I'm running for state house, but I'm not
Hmm.
in it.
Right.
What can I do? I can get
Hmm.
my neighbors around my block to join me.
Hmm.
I can get my
Exactly.
phone call. I can call a Republican and just say, "Do you want to talk?" And
Yeah,
I can try to get them. And so I am
absolutely.
doing that. And we need everybody to do that. If you are watching this, who can you talk to tomorrow? Who
Hmm.
can you talk to and get them more on our side? And oh, our side is getting really big with some really interesting people, and that is fantastic. And we don't
Yes,
have to
and it
agree
can
on everything, but let's
no,
agree on saving democracy right now. Let's
and
focus on
food.
that. And food.
Yeah,
Let's
food.
save on stopping massive wars.
And think of what these wars are doing to the environment as you blow up refineries. We're over here trying to shut our cars off, and that's so our exhaust doesn't roll out at a stoplight.
It
They're
looks like
blowing up refineries
and the Trump administration is showing like videos of the bombing like it's an action movie, like it's
with SpongeBob
cool.
SquarePants.
Yeah, and it's like this is not cool.
They're
This is
celebrating
real
it,
life. This is real life.
celebrating death and destruction.
And so many people have been impacted by the bombings already. But
Mhm.
internet's down and like systems aren't working. Amazon wasn't working. Like there was all kinds of problems because we're a global world. Companies are global now. So it's not like it's just affecting somebody's little village of evil terrorists or something. It's not like that. That's not the
No,
truth. So
no.
I get really mad at the propaganda of making war look cool. War's not cool. War's death.
Where's
War's
death?
death.
Listen, my slogan is running like a mother. And that is how I'm going to run, and it's how I'm going to legislate. I was on a radio interview and they asked me what that meant, and I fumbled over the words for a minute because I was like, I never really articulated. I could feel it. I knew
Yeah,
what
I
that meant,
know. I'm a mom of 3.
right?
I know what
Yeah.
running what a mother
Then I
feels like.
thought about it the next morning with my coffee and I said, I know what it is. It means that every vote I take, every bill I author, every bit of my effort is going to be filtered through the lens of how does this affect our kids? This is who we owe this to. I have been asked to speak at high schools and on university campuses every week. I'm at PFW and Trine on Monday. I get in front of young people all the time and I ask them, what do you think the role of government is? And what score would you give it on a scale of 1 to 10? And so far, the average is 2.66. And their notes to me are they feel betrayed. They feel endangered. They feel unseen and unheard. They feel abandoned by us. That's on us.
I feel that too. I feel that way too. I
Yep.
completely understand why they feel that way.
Yep.
And we owe it to them
We
to
do.
fight for their future.
We do.
Yeah.
For their very lives.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll have you on again. I'm really
Okay.
glad that you're so popular and people want you to speak. They should want you to speak. You're amazing.
I'll get a better light next time so that
I
I'm
gave
not
you some
like,
tips.
Okay,
We
yes.
got this, girl. We got this.
Okay.
Thank you. Shout out to your campaign manager,
Yep, she's
Jama
amazing.
Owens. She's
Yep.
coming on Project next Friday.
Yes,
And
good.
she's going to talk about what it's like to do her job, to be a campaign manager
Oh,
for a
it's so
congressional
valuable.
candidate. And then because maybe you don't want to be a candidate, it's pretty hard, but maybe you want to work behind the scenes of a campaign. I
Yeah.
have volunteers right now, and some of the reason they want to help me and they care about democracy and stuff, but some of the reason they're helping me is because they want to do this. They want to
Yep.
get more involved, or their family member's going to run in 2 years and they want to learn how to do it. And I'm like, well, I'll teach you and let's go along. So yeah, that would be a really good show for people that want to get involved or that
We
don't, you
need
just
them
don't
so
know.
bad. We don't
Yeah,
have
it's
enough.
hard to find good campaign managers around here. You got a good one.
Yeah, I
So I
do.
can't
I
wait to talk
every
to her.
week somebody calls and tries to take her away from me. Or
Not
she gets an
shocked.
email. Yeah,
Not
no, and
shocked.
I'm always looking at her like, "You're not gonna leave me, right?" She goes, "No, you're not gonna leave me, right?" I'm
She
like, "No."
clearly
Yeah,
loves you.
yeah.
Also she's the second Jama I know.
Oh,
Jama,
wow.
I have a Jama in my life that's one of my closest friends, and
Aw.
she is just like pure joy. And so I have 2 Jamas in my phone. Isn't that funny?
It is funny. It is funny. There's not that many of them, but
No, I've
she's
never even
great.
heard that name before. It took me forever to say her name right.
And listen, she's gonna be my chief of staff when I win, and so she's not gonna be here either. So you all need to replace her. So,
We
yeah,
want
listen.
her to be
Yeah,
your chief of staff.
absolutely we do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's next Friday. I think at lunchtime. I think it's next Friday at noon. I can't
Okay.
wait for that episode. She thought of the idea, and I'm like, that's a genius idea.
It
Yes,
is.
come on the
That's
show.
great.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
great.
You
All
get some
right.
sleep. You work so hard. Thank you so
You
much.
betcha.
Everybody follow Kelly Thompson, share this show, talk to your friends and neighbors. Let's save the country and the world. Love you all so much. Thank you, Kelly.
You bet. Thank you, Sarah.
Bye, everyone.